Da 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 da!
Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. This is Phantom Studios with our review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. Yes, we know, we're late. Some Dunkoffs decided to go on a cruise.
Hey, don't judge us.
Hey, our step-grandma paid a lot for that.
Oh yeah, yeah, trust me, she was the one paying for it.
Excuses, excuses.
Hey.
I hate you now.
Really?
Anyway, this is, to introduce ourselves, this is Caleb, the history documentary geek, and Darth Sidious.
And the creative director.
And creative director. Matthew.
Jeremy, the Minecraft gamer. We also recently released a top 10 tanks documentary, our 100th video.
Yep.
And I'm also co-creative director.
And I'm Matthew. I am the former Pirate Galaxy video maker, one of the producers, and hopefully soon, if I can get my tech to work right, Dark Orbit video maker.
Ooh,
yeah.
That'd be nice.
It's my replacement for Pirate Galaxy because Pirate Galaxy has basically become boring, repetitive, worthless. The developers are completely incompetent. But anyway, enough about Pirate Galaxy. On with The Force Awakens. This will be a spoiler review. This translates to Raymond. You are not allowed to watch this video under any circumstances until you see the film.
Unless you really want to just
Kill us.
or spoil it. Or just spoil it for yourself.
Yeah, if you really want to spoil it, go ahead and watch it. But anyway, okay.
Okay,
So,
now to get rid of the elephant in the room.
Where is he?
we already did that. okay.
No,
focus.
I meant in the
Are
context
you
of
the
conversation.
elephant?
Okay,
No.
so we're going to start off with... Actually, he looks like an elephant. We're going to start off with general impressions of the film. Caleb, you go first.
General impression, I'd have to say it was a good film. I mean, counting out the expanded universe portion of the canon, really kind of did bum me out a little bit. So, Disney did kind of botch it that way. But in terms of overall graphic effects, it's actually a combination of the editing styles from the first trilogy and the prequel trilogy. Think about it, you have like the really cool special effects that look really awesome, but then you have the more older style.
Robots and guys in suits.
Yeah, and stuff like that. It just makes it interesting, it makes it different, and it's kind of a blending. And all it is, my dad has told me, is it's a continuation of the original trilogy when you think about it. It's really them taking the story and just putting it in a different time, putting it further in time down the storyline. And I thought it was a good movie. And in fact, the part that wounded me the most is, spoiler alert, Han Solo's death at the hands of his own son.
Yeah,
And then Chewie going nuts.
That was arguably my favorite scene of the film. I'll explain why later. So now I think, Jeremy, your turn, and then I'm going to go.
Okay.
Well, of course, the main characters were kind of different in this film. You had Rey, Finn, Poe, those new characters, and then the old ones, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, all the good ones. Of course, I was definitely sad about
Spoiler alert.
Han Solo. And also, they also did add some new things. I believe the TIE fighters in this movie, they had ones with 2 seats in them, one facing towards the back with the guns, air one you drive, which was interesting because I had someone ask me I wonder why there were 2 seats if TIE fighters only have one. I'm guessing they're just a new design then.
I think
gotta be a new design.
the way I think it is that these new TIE fighters are probably a better version of the original Imperial ones, because the First Order probably just built itself up from the remains and the failures of
And
the
I have
Empire.
to say the stormtroopers were a better aim, so I have to say the First Order did something right.
Yes,
Yeah, they actually
yes.
hit the target once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, actually, I have to say that the First Order stormtroopers are a whole lot better than the Imperial.
And they look pretty cool.
Yeah, they look a lot better than the original stormtroopers. The original stormtroopers ugly.
But I still don't think you can see out of them very well.
Yeah. To quote Captain Rex, that's his helmet. I can't see.
Okay, so my turn. I only watched this film once.
I watched it twice.
Yeah, lucky.
See, only once. But still loved it.
Yeah, being an expanded universe fan, like Caleb said, they did kind of botch it because they're basically just ignoring all of the expanded universe.
Well,
So
most of it. There are some pieces of it that they're not ignoring, but those usually come before the prequel trilogy.
Something I really don't like from them botching the expanded universe was Boba Fett.
Not coming back.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
Because in the expanded universe, he got eaten like 3 times.
That was so
that's
funny.
Amateur hour, but okay.
Amateur moment.
Yeah, so like being an expanded universe fan, Disney's already kind of ticked me off by ignoring most of the expanded universe. Despite that, it is a good film in its own right. It, action-wise, special effect-wise, I would give it a 5 out of 5. It's the storyline and then the handling of the characters where it just kind of falls apart for me. Because story-wise, all it's really doing is just rehashing A New Hope and a little bit of Empire Strikes Back, and I'm kind of like, well, you get rid of the expanded universe so you can tell original stories, and then what do? You give us something that's could be adequately labeled A New Hope 2.0. Oh, so it's the fact that...
Well, there were different aspects of it. You have to consider that there's no empire. This is like a rogue band of troopers and generals and a dark side user.
Not really.
And also, I think this is...
Well, yeah.
This is essentially the Galactic Empire 2.0. Like, even using the videos that you found on YouTube that explain kind of the whole new canon, it's basically the Empire sort of dissolved, and then out of the ashes was a new, actual, legitimate government that is even more evil.
But I have to say, I
backing of some
wonder
kind of
how
support.
long it took for them to build the Star Killer base.
Oh, good lord.
Death Star 3, let's just call it what it really is.
Yeah, this is a bad rip-off of the Death Star, and worse,
I would have to
it's
call
a
it Death
fucking
Star.
planet.
I would have to call it Death
Yeah.
Star 10 because that thing's huge.
That's a good point. It's like twice. It's like 10 times larger than the Death Star because it's a freaking planet. It's
I
no
have to
space
say
station.
25 times larger.
Yeah. But anyway, that was kind of my general impression of the movie. Was it doesn't really stand on its own merits. It is completely reliant on the storylines that came before it. It doesn't do anything original, and that kind of annoyed me because it's like, okay, thank you. I'm constantly, through the film, I'm going, plans are stuck in a droid and everyone's chasing the droid. Okay, been there, done that. Jedi are gone. We've been there and we've done that. Last of them are in exile. Where have we seen this before? Giant Star Killer thing. Okay, come on, guys.
Hey, at least it can destroy multiple planets at once.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. The Death Star would have had to target every single one of the planets in the Hosnian system.
You're
which is
looking
the
in
system
all
was
the
destroyed.
wrong places.
Yeah. Okay.
You're looking in all the wrong places.
All the
But
wrong.
so next up we're going to talk about like just generally like what happens in the film, starting with kind of the opening shot and then generally giving our opinions. So first up, okay, the title crawl. Honestly, that was where it lost me because I was like, Luke Skywalker has vanished. Come on, guys. Really?
Luke Skywalker usually doesn't end up doing that in the expanded canon, in the expanded universe. But then again, Disney threw that out the window when they bought the freaking franchise, so that kind of just gives a perfectly good explanation for them putting that in the freaking movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's even if I go by just purely the movies, Luke, that's running away or vanishing isn't something he would do. But anyway, we can get to that later. But anyway, so we have the First Order. They land on Jakku. They go to the village where we see Poe Dameron and whatever the old guy's name is.
He's actually an old Jedi sympathizer, according to the expanded canon videos that I showed you.
I heard he was he wasn't a Jedi, but he was sort of part of a religion that worshipped the Force or something.
Yeah, he was part of a Force church that worshipped the Force, but was not part of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's
And he was an old Jedi sympathizer who was actually born at the tail end of the Clone Wars, but he knew enough about the Jedi to preserve their history. At the request, actually, of a Jedi Master who was then hunted down and killed by the Empire. who survived Order 66.
That's actually interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
And
interesting.
also something that interests me, I think Finn is like I believe Finn would be like one of the first stormtroopers to ever go rogue. At least that we know of in the series.
And not only that, the first one we ever see the face of, think about this.
Yeah.
Original movies, don't see the freaking faces of the stormtroopers.
Because they're
This
just,
movie?
because they're
we
just
see his face.
because they're just backup actors no one cares about. They just throw them in there for like one scene.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And the stormtrooper effects in the original movie were kind of crappy. Okay, just to give an example of that real quick, just for comedic laugh. In a scene, Luke is shooting at stormtroopers up on a bridge in the Death Star.
Yeah.
One guy gets shot, but the guy next to him falls down. How the frick does that work?
That's just editing mistakes.
Teleportation runs.
Okay, that would be funny.
Yeah, that was. Okay.
Okay.
So, so Poe Dameron is talking to, I don't even think he was actually named, old Jedi dude.
Oh,
And they're talking about the
Old
map to
Jedi.
the map to Luke Skywalker, and they put it
He reminds me
in-
of Obi-Wan Kenobi a lot.
He kinda does.
Yeah. Now you mention it, that is what I was thinking. Was like,
Oh,
looks like
crap.
Ben.
There's another
Okay,
way
hold
you
on.
can critique the movie of just copying A New Hope. An
Oh,
old
no.
guy living on a desert planet.
Oh dear gosh. Well, at least he was in a village. He wasn't like a hermit on his own.
Yeah, fair enough. That
Okay.
would have made it too much like Kenobi.
Yep. All he needed was a lightsaber. Okay. So anyway, moving on. So they put the plans in the droid. The plan is part of the map to Luke Skywalker. Why Luke Skywalker isn't on the front lines of the Resistance, that will probably remain a mystery until Episode 8. But anyways, the First Order storms the village, they gun down everyone in their path, capture old Jedi, and then we see Kylo Ren come out and actually appears to be pretty cool for a bit.
He actually
And I
is pretty
also-
cool throughout the whole film. It's just he's kind of whiny.
And we also
That's the problem.
heard
Okay,
that
he's cool up until the lightsaber duel. Then it's just like, what the heck?
Oh, what you mean? He takes on Finn and Rey?
Yes. But anyway, that part comes later. so
Loser.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, so he's interrogating the old guy, he kills him, Poe pulls out his blaster, and I was surprised by this. My reaction in theater was like, my eyes went wide, and I was like, holy crap, did I just see that?
Oh, what do
see
you mean,
what?
Kylo Ren doing the?
He froze a blaster bolt in place, held it there for the entire conversation, which was actually really funny with Poe Dameron, and then just casually dropped his hold on it. Like, he did it without batting an eye. And I was like, oh, dang.
I guess he's a lot more force powerful than we gave him credit for when we first saw
Then
him.
how did he lose to a girl and a rogue stormtrooper?
Plot armor. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much all that is there.
Yeah, the conversation there. What do you think of the dialogue for that scene? Like the whole so do I start talking? Do you start talking?
Let's just make it like a casual conversation as we hit each point.
Yeah, and
That's not
also,
very good.
I also
Okay.
heard something that in Episode 8, Kylo Ren's getting a new mask.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I don't know, I heard it, I don't
like
know.
the mask that he has, though. It
But-
makes him look. I mean, it makes him look formidable.
They actually,
does.
I heard something that in the 8th movie, I think he might get a new mask that will look more like Darth Vader's. I don't know. I only heard that.
That would make sense.
Because he does kind of
idolize-
pray. He does kind of pray and worship to his grandfather a little bit too much.
Yeah, he does.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah. So anyway,
How
so they capture Poe.
how is Han Solo and Vader related?
Princess Leia?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dur moment.
Yep.
Sorry.
So they capture Poe. They take him back to the ship. They throw him in the prison. Kylo Ren interrogates him after the stormtroopers decide to try, and they basically, the vibe I got from that was Kylo Ren is sort of going, okay, these stormtroopers screwed up.
Hey, all
And then-
stormtroopers screw up.
Yeah, basically. They screwed up. They couldn't get the information out of him. My turn. So he basically uses the Force to torture this guy's mind and reveal that he put the plans in the droid. And so he goes to General Hux and is like, okay, it's in the droid. I actually thought this was really interesting how Kylo Ren and the General seem to, like, not get along. Like, there's kind of a rivalry between them. Because,
Well-
like, the bit where it was like Hux is like, don't let your personal desires get in the way of Supreme Leader Snoke, and then Kylo Ren basically asks if his men are competent, and then Hux says they're the best trained that we've got. Kylo says then there should be no problems getting the droid intact. It was like, oh. Like, I actually liked that a little bit, because it was like...
Yeah, and really, it kind of makes sense, because, again, back with the expanded universe, like, the new universe videos that I showed you, the Knights of Ren and Kylo Ren and Supreme Leader Snoke are actually separate from the First Order when it actually formed, and then they join in and take over leadership, so the actual Admiralty and General Staff might still have some bitterness by that point towards these Force users and this Sith apprentice and this Supreme Leader Snoke character, who they really don't know his identity. Yeah. So they really don't know that much, and that can be a problem for them.
Yeah, probably.
So like they really don't like it that much.
I think the First Order, like the people that are in the First Order, probably know who Snoke is. It's just that the movie hasn't seen fit to reveal it to us yet.
Yeah, probably. kind of like how the sequel, like the original trilogy, set up this Emperor figure, and then later on we find out that he is the Chancellor.
Yeah.
The last Chancellor of the Galactic Republic.
Basically, yeah. Also,
I have to say, the only time I've ever seen a stormtrooper bleed was when one of the opening scene in The Force Awakens, when there's Finn and the stormtrooper who's dying does this to his helmet.
Yeah,
that's the only blood.
That's like the only time I've ever seen a stormtrooper bleed.
I would think that with the plasma energy being as hot as it is, it would have cauterized any wounds that it created.
That actually would make... yeah, you would think that.
Yeah, I mean, come on, when you see a Jedi cut somebody in half, there's no blood.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen blood on a wound in Star Wars is when Dooku sliced Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones, and I think the only reason that happened was because it was just a quick nick. It wasn't like a slicing through, it was just a...
Not like what happened to Anakin. Not like what happened to Anakin where he lost almost the whole arm.
Yeah, that was kind of like, it was just barely a nick, it didn't really have time to cauterize. But yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, but also you have to figure in the original episode 4, there is blood on the ground when Obi-Wan cuts that guy's arm off.
Yeah, now you mention it.
That was weird. That was weird, that one scene. I actually covered my eyes when I first saw that. I hated that, it was gross. It was like...
Creepy aliens.
Creepy!
Yep. Okay, so moving on. So Finn has basically become disillusioned at this point. He's like, okay, I'm assuming he's just like, okay, I don't like what the First Order's doing. I'm not going to be a part of it. So he breaks Poe out, and they're kind of like, they steal a TIE fighter, which goes back to what Jeremy said. I think it was before the review started, about like the TIE fighters having 2 seats. That was actually interesting.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Yeah. It works perfectly for them because it's like, oh, they don't have to steal 2 ships.
Oh, yeah. Well, then again, in the original Imperial TIE fighters, there was actually a big bubble, and the seat was like right in the middle, so it was actually spaced around for people to stand in it. It got a little cramped when that happened.
One thing.
Thank you, Star Wars Rebels.
It doesn't look like they ever upgraded their Star Destroyers, though. Like, they look like the same thing.
I thought they looked different.
No, the one that you see in Star Wars, The Force Awakens, the one you see is actually very different. It is the last of the Superstar Destroyers.
It didn't look like a Superstar Destroyer. It looked like a kind of a brand new design.
Well,
like based on the Imperial class Star Destroyers, but definitely like a new design.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that because there's no tower sticking out that could easily be knocked out, and there goes the whole ship because that was the bridge.
Yep.
With those little 2 balls on top that would, like, you take it out and boom, there it goes.
Those
are
actually
shield generators.
Yeah, those are the shield generators.
Well, why do you put the shield generators up there in open sight?
I have no idea. Anyway, moving on. So they escape. Their ship gets shot down. That was actually funny. Was anyone else laughing when, like, the TIE fighter sinks into the sand? Finn's freaking out because he thinks Poe's dead, and then it just explodes.
It's like, I would think, looking over that, I would think Michael Bay directed that part.
That was funny. It's just like...
I'm surprised I didn't see any... I'm surprised I didn't see any girls that were, like, not wearing a whole lot of clothes pop out of the sand.
It was a fireball. They would have been incinerated.
Wait, what was the fireball?
Nothing.
Be glad you missed that little bit.
I know.
You don't want to know what Jeremy said.
I know, it's just what you would expect Michael Bay to do.
Oh no! If
no,
Michael Bay was
he does.
director of the Star Wars franchise,
Yeah,
oh god,
if
the series would be over. Everything would be done.
Sorry, enough explosions in Star Wars.
Yep.
We don't need every little single box or person blowing up.
like there's this dramatic scene. R2's there, and all of a sudden R2 just explodes in the flames.
Wait, but he has the rest of the map. Okay, so Finn goes over to. He's like wandering around Tatooine while he's.
Jakku. There are several desert planets.
Okay.
Jakku.
The desert planet. When everyone saw it, at first everyone thought it was Tatooine. Okay, so shut up.
And then until it appears in name, Jakku. What the heck?
Wait,
Okay.
New Hope and The Force Awakens both start on a desert planet.
Okay. Again, another one. Just another one.
Although Jakku, in Jakku's defense, in the movie's defense, actually, Jakku is actually not near Tatooine. It's actually like almost on the other side of the galaxy and deeper inside the galaxy. It's actually closer to the inner core.
Yeah. So.
Which is a little
Wait,
odd.
I have a question. What is at the inner core of the galaxy?
A
A
whole
whole bunch of black
like,
holes and stars.
massive stars, black holes. It's basically impossible to chart a safe course through it.
You actually have to go around it.
Yeah. People. Okay, the Empire in the original expanded universe did have like a couple of like routes that were through it, but they were like so unstable. They were. Yeah, it wasn't really good to use. You could if you had to, but it wasn't recommended, basically. But yeah. So anyway, we find
And no one
Only
lived
for
in it.
emergency.
Yeah, so anyway, going back to the movie, so we get to, so Rey, we see her, she's basically just a scavenger who's waiting on her family, whoever they are, to come back and get her.
I still have a theory that it's Luke Skywalker, but anyone who
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
shuts me
no,
out,
no.
I don't care.
Then who's
I
the mother?
actually agree.
I think the mother might be dead by this point.
Probably, yeah, that might. I will say that could have contributed to what Luke did, like his wife being killed by Kylo
Like
Ren, but even
everything
then,
he
that's
knows
still
is pretty much dead.
yeah. But even then, that doesn't match like what Luke would do, even going by.
But hey, Disney's ruining
Yeah.
it also.
Disney,
Yeah.
well, Disney did pretty good with the movie quality at least.
I will get it that.
It looked pretty cool, and
Yeah.
I guess the special effects distracted you from what's really going on in the timeline.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of what I got, was like the film is just, it's a big action flick, it's supposed to be, ooh, pretty laser, big explosion, and
Like
then
the
there's supposed to be
Avengers.
enough of them that, that you are supposed to kind of miss that, it doesn't really have much of a plot to it, which, if you're actually a kind of a lore fan and like want to see like, in things where it's like, here's how the galaxy works, here's what's going on in the galaxy right now, it's kind of, if you're actually one of those type of fans, it's a little disappointing because it's like
It
all
just
we're getting is
repeats the
Do you
first movie
think-
to the original trilogy.
Yeah, it literally repeats the plot with better special effects. So for the people that are actually wanting something original or wanting to know, okay, what is happening in the galaxy, those are the fans that are disappointed. But oh well.
Yeah.
Do you think there were any scenes like that actually appear in the film, if you can name any?
There are a few. It's like they reference the New Republic. They don't explain
They also
what it
reference
is. They don't explain where it is. They don't explain why the New Republic exists, where the First Order is. They don't explain that in the film.
Well, in the film they don't explain it,
Yeah.
but in the expanded video, in the lore videos that I have seen,
Yeah.
the First Order actually fled into the, believe it or not, the unknown regions of space on the other side of the galaxy from where everything happens.
Yeah.
Like, like Raxus is and Jakku and like all that stuff. Other side of the galaxy is where they went.
And the unknown regions is basically completely uncharted. No one has explored that area until the First Order. So it's like, that's basically just kind of their fresh start. But the thing is, that's not explained in the movie.
Yes.
And it should have been.
Yes.
Like the movie should have explained, here's the New Republic. Here's where the First Order, here's sort of what happened with them. And then here's the New Republic. And another thing it doesn't explain is, okay, we're kind of getting way off topic, but whatever.
Well, no, this ties into the film, so
Yeah.
it's
Well, we
it's
were
our
talking.
critiquing of it.
Well, we were
Also,
talking
they
about
do
introducing
mention
Rey.
the Jedi Temple.
One of them anyway. Okay, we were kind of talking about like introducing Rey, but whatever, we can just come back to that. But yeah, it was like the film doesn't really explain a whole lot of like what's going on. So it's like, wait, the New Republic exists. Moving on. It's like it doesn't talk about what the New Republic is or what it's doing. So it's like, wait a minute.
It just lists this and
Yeah.
then it doesn't go into detail.
Yes.
And actually, again
Yeah.
with the lore videos, The New Republic actually is no better than the Second Galactic Republic before the Clone Wars. Meaning that's at the extent that it had at the beginning of before the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
That was it.
So that's
That's
the
what
territory that the Republic had in the prequel trilogy. That's what the New Republic has, basically. Or are you
Yes.
saying like they're corrupt, like the Old Republic was?
Oh, I never told you
No,
what happened to
it's
my
just
face.
they're not corrupt like they're not corrupt like the Old Republic or the Second Republic.
Yeah.
They're not like that. The problem is they have their navy concentrated in one place and their army concentrated in one place. That was the one
That
flaw.
was stupid. That was kind of like, okay, yeah. I don't see how anyone can think that's a good idea, because let's say you have 20 sectors under your command. Let's say Sector 1 is your home sector. You have everybody in Sector 1.
Sector 1 gets destroyed, boom.
But what happens if Sector 20, say, pirates attack over here? By the time you get everybody you need mobilized and actually over there, the pirates could have struck 5 times and still had time to vanish. Or let's say asteroid storm hits a planet in Sector 16. By the time you actually get people mobilized and send relief aid all the way over there, everyone's dead. Why? Because you took too long, because everyone was too far away. But if you spread your fleet out, have like, say, 50 ships that are like the best in the fleet guarding your home, and then you spread everyone out, pirates attack in Sector 20, they're not going to go anywhere. Why? There's 50 ships ready to jump down their throats. And then you have justice instantly restored because the pirates can't go anywhere. Asteroid storm hits Sector 16, oh, well, there's ships ready to just give a relief aid. They're like right there.
Yes, well, in the movie's defense. Also, you have to figure that there is a gap between Episode 6 and the 7th movie. And in that gap, there was nearly, I think, about 5 years of war, bitter war, between what was left of the Empire and the New Republic. And the New Republic was exhausted and tired of the fighting, so they disarmed themselves because they were tired of fighting. It's what happened, look, to put it in terms of real history, it's what happened after World War I. Everyone started ripping down their weapons, just like melting them down, destroying them, because they didn't want a war.
And then there's Adolf Hitler.
And he screws up everything.
And then again, going off of that, Supreme Leader Snoke waltzes into the show. See, that's why. See, like, you did bring up an interesting point, like at the sleepover, about like that's the goal of like every nation is to get to the point where we are all at peace and we don't need armies. But the thing is, not everyone shares that mentality. So the thing is, you still need a strong military. You still need ships on patrol. You still need ships that are battle ready in case pirates attack. In case,
yes, that's actually the point, though.
Yeah.
Is that's everybody's goal in terms of nations. But the problem is we can't get to that point because of our own humanity. We keep ripping each other apart.
There will always be those who want to conquer, who want to dominate, who want to insert their will over those that they deem less worthy than them. And that's what the New Republic failed to realize, and that is what brought about their destruction.
Everyone has their own reasons for doing it.
Or at least the destruction of one of the main systems and the entire Senate and Chancellor and their entire fleet.
Yeah, so basically the New Republic is defenseless, which is actually kind of why I'm scared about Episode 8.
Because without the New Republic, fleet, or government, what is there to stand in the way of the First Order just waltzing in and controlling the rest of the galaxy other than the Resistance?
Which, honestly, the Resistance annoys me. Because,
no, it's really screwed because they don't even have a fleet.
They have a squadron
of fighters.
Yeah, see, that's kind of what really irritated me about the Resistance was the only reason for it to exist. They did, in the videos you showed, provided a good in-universe reason for the Resistance to exist, but the thing is, the only reason to actually have it exist is so we get our pathetic little carbon copy of the Rebel Alliance in A New Hope. That's the only reason it exists.
Although you have to admit, the new X-Wing fighters are pretty cool.
That's the only redeeming quality about the Resistance is their X-Wings.
Yeah, in fact, I've even noticed this. On the original X-Wings, there were 4 massive turbine engines. On this one, there's 4. But it's actually 2 engines on each wing that's split apart into 4.
I didn't notice that.
Because like one half of the engine on each side is on a separate wing. But they fuse back together when the thing's is flying at faster, and then when it goes into attack mode, it opens up the wings, slowers its speed, but then it can use its guns.
That's actually
Yeah,
really interesting.
it's pretty cool. I guess
The
they.
X-wing, in my opinion, is like the pinnacle of
Yes.
the aviation of the all of Star Wars universe. I mean, it's like the number one fight. It's like Luke's go-to fighter. It's tons. You see it everywhere in Star Wars universe. And then of course you got the Millennium Falcon, which is just like the beast of all things.
Sort of, yeah. It's,
Here, let's go back to talking about introducing Rey.
Okay, yeah,
right.
good idea. We got way off, which is fine. But yeah, okay. So you want to go ahead?
It was important.
Well, she definitely does. She would basically be the girl version of Luke Skywalker in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Except little different things. She had nobody.
Yeah.
That's a good point. In New Hope, there was Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, and then there was.
And she's
Ben
having to
Kenobi.
ravage for just random spare parts in a ship crash just so she can eat.
Yeah, Star Destroyer, AT-AT remains on Jakku, just tons of Imperial junk lying around all over Jakku. And then she cleans up the parts, gives them to this guy, and then she gets like half a ration, one ration, and then when
Portions is what they call them.
portions.
Yeah.
Again,
That is really run by a kind of a corrupt, greedy, whatever he is.
I don't even know. He's just like a.
He
junkie
also apparently
freak.
owned the Millennium Falcon.
He apparently stole it from somebody who had stole it from somebody else, who stole it from somebody else, who stole it from Han Solo.
Yep. But yeah.
Solo, you had one job. One job.
How did he lose it though?
Sea turtles, mate.
What?
Sea turtles. That's the only explanation we're gonna get to that one.
Sea
Going
turtles.
Pirates of the
Caribbean reference.
Going Pirates of the Caribbean for a second. Sea turtles is the only explanation we're gonna get for that one. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we see Rey. She's what Jeremy said. Basically a female Luke Skywalker. They run in. Finn shows up. The droid shows up. The droid is like, he has my master's jacket. Rey goes bananas. And then the First Order decides to start a bombing run
And also
in
something.
TIE fighters.
Also,
Well, there were TIE bombers in Episode 5. Remember, they did bomb the asteroid the Millennium Falcon was heading in inside that giant worm.
Yeah, but for some reason, it's like every time the First Order leads an airstrike on something, it's just TIE fighters shooting things up. It's like they don't have bombers, they just fly over shooting things, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't really bother me too much. I'm just kind of like, you could use a bomber, get the same result. Why?
Actually, no.
Well,
Well, you see, let's put it this way. What if those are attack fighters that could double as attack bombers?
if that's what the First Order has done with their TIE fighters, I'm even more impressed.
I guess the TIE fighters are the one
now
you're
you
thinking
can
of.
fit more than one person in there.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if they could get a TIE fighter that is durable and that, I mean, those things are clearly a little bit more durable than the Imperial ones, which were cases of junk.
Those were garbage, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, TIE fighters coming in, they just blew themselves up.
I didn't see that one.
No, that's a joke.
Oh.
It's like they're trying to come in and they keep crashing into each other as they try to come in because they're converging on one target.
It wasn't surprising to me. Okay, so going back to the film.
Yeah.
So, once Rey decides to...
Something very interesting. I'm wondering when Rey was with BB-8 and was at the guy, she was turning in a bunch of her parts that she found, and the guy offers to take the droid for a lot. She refuses, even though she hasn't really known BB-8 for all that long and probably wouldn't care that much, but she doesn't.
I want to say the droid had already told her something about a map to Luke Skywalker's.
No, then
Had she?
I
Think
doubt
about it.
she had.
BB-8 works for a group that's trying to keep that information under wraps as long as possible to prevent it from falling into the hands of the First Order in case there's a spy somewhere.
So I'm
you think that
wondering-
if it would just pass it on to some girl that protected it from junkers?
Well, the droid didn't go to Rey because the Resistance told it to. It just happened to run into Rey because Rey saved it from the guys that were trying to capture, and it just kind of attached to her.
Those little
Yeah.
guys are all
Yeah.
taking droids.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I kind of think the reason Rey decided to keep the droid was
She
I could be
probably-
remembering it wrong. I could be remembering this wrong, but I think the droid had already said something about it has a map to Luke Skywalker. It needs to get to the Resistance, so she's kind of going.
Actually,
"Rey,
no.
I
That
shouldn't
was
sell it."
Finn. That was
Oh, that's
Finn.
Finn.
Because remember, the
Oh.
guy that Finn busted out told him about that information because he was a defective. Poe defected.
So we get to Okay, yeah. So then Finn decides to, for some reason, pretend to be in the Resistance. That was amusing.
Yeah, and also something about Finn. He's one of the only stormtroopers I know that can aim and hit his target most of the time.
And the only stormtrooper that can use a lightsaber somehow.
Yep, but the cool thing also, now we're on that point that when Finn, sorry, I had a brain fart, couldn't remember, but
yeah, that's fine.
When Finn was fine. When Finn was fighting that one stormtrooper with the lightsaber, and the stormtrooper had that little rod thing that was meant to fight lightsabers, that was interesting.
I think that was a baton or something.
I don't know, but that was probably one of the first time that stormtroopers could really stand up against lightsabers. In close quarters, which is interesting, but the way they had to hold it was a little awkward.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not honestly sure what that stormtrooper was wielding. It's like, it looks like some sort of energy baton thing. I'm kind of like, wait, you give your stormtroopers the ability to fight Jedi now? Yay! Okay.
Instead of just shooting them with blasters and hoping they hit something.
Yeah. Okay, so Finn pretends to be part of the Resistance because he apparently likes Rey.
What?
You didn't see what? You didn't notice that? You didn't see the way he was acting around her? Like, obviously I'm in the Resistance. He's just like all awkward and everything.
I think that was so he didn't expose his cover of who he really was.
Yeah, could have been that. The gist I got was just because that's such an overused plot trope, I kind of got that, oh, he's getting a crush on her. But yeah, now you mention it, it could have just been that. Like, he doesn't know what to do, and he's just like, okay, what's the first thing I can say that doesn't make her think I'm a stormtrooper?
I'm with the Resistance, baby.
Oh my gosh. Alright, so then they're getting to know each other. TIE fighters, stormtroopers, they...
Full-on assault.
They're running, they go to a spaceship, that spaceship explodes, so they go for the junk.
Which happens to be something that's very memorable in the Star Wars universe. Which that definitely did make everyone laugh, like, okay, we'll go for the junk.
How dare you call the Millennium Falcon junk? Okay,
well,
lady.
It is like 50 years old.
Now you mention it, yeah.
Well, in real life it would be, but
yeah.
in the actual universe it might be older than that. I don't know.
Actually, I think you're right. It's probably about 15 years in the Star Wars universe, because it was old when Han had it in A New Hope, and this is like 30 years later.
And it's still working. But it had some problems when they tried to start it up, so...
It hadn't been activated in years. That would be the problem. Because, like, yeah. Problem is...
I have to say, Rey is a pretty dang good pilot.
For someone who... I actually did hear, like, you know how at the end of that flight sequence, we're on the, we're discussing the epic escape, like
with the Millennium Falcon?
Yes.
Yeah, and then that one idiot who attached that one component that nearly overloaded the hyperdrive.
Oh my gosh, that was like, I was kind of going like, why would you put that on your ship? Why?
If it's a component that's going to overload the hyperdrive, why even install it?
Yeah, I mean, is it something that's like, doesn't put too much power in it, or regulates the power flow that goes to it, or what?
I don't know.
What was it?
I think the catch was is that this component is meant to regulate the power that goes to the engines, but in the process it builds up energy that ends up getting backwards into the hyperdrive, which nearly caused the hyperdrive to turn into a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, let's not use those. But yeah.
It works on some chips that they don't have a hyperdrive.
Oh, well, yeah. The Millennium Falcon does, though, so I mean...
Yeah, it's a smuggler ship. It's designed to have a hyperdrive.
It's
but
supposed
you know
to
what's
have.
interesting? Also, when they were on the Millennium Falcon, fought stormtroopers aboard, even when it was really Chewie and Hans.
What scene in the movie are you talking?
Remember when Chewbacca and Han Solo finally found the Millennium Falcon and pulled it in on the freighter?
Oh, yeah, that was after the whole
and
epic
they thought
escape. And then...
stormtroopers were coming on, so they were gonna use the gas to kill them.
Oh, yeah.
And we learn an interesting fact that the helmets only filter out smoke, not deadly gases.
Yeah.
So
The masks only filter out smoke, not deadly gases.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that a little bit, but yeah. So that was after the
Guess
whole
that's
like
a fun one
epic
to do.
escape, and then there was like the number of times I saw Rey smash into something with the Falcon. I was literally watching that, going, no, careful! You're gonna break the Millennium
If
Falcon.
you were there, you would have been like backseat. You've been like backseat driving.
Okay, listen, this is what I have to
Yes, I
say
would.
to you on that.
What?
No, more like
It's
backseat.
as durable
driving.
as a tank.
What is it's the
It's
Falcon?
as durable as an Abrams.
Dude,
Alright,
there's
fair enough.
okay, look, Old Republic.
Yeah.
There's a guy that has a ship, and it's just like the Millennium Falcon in terms of what it can do.
Yeah.
And not only that, the darn thing wrecked a Sith shuttle, made it explode, and the thing barely had a scratch on it.
Okay. The Falcon wasn't gonna break by running into Star Destroyer debris and sand.
Okay, that might cause a problem. I thought you meant in space.
No, it didn't run into anything in space. It was like I'm talking about like while Rey is
Oh, right, when
flying,
they're
and, like,
running
escaping
away from the TIE
fighters.
fighters.
I ran into
Yeah.
some air in space, which was weird because I
What?
don't know how air could be in space.
What?
What?
I have no
What is he
idea.
talking about?
I don't know.
So they escaped
it
attack
doesn't.
by
It makes more sense than what's happening in the universe right now.
Good point. So, okay, I actually did. This was something that was pointed out in another review I watched. Rey is that I think is partly when the Force starts awakening in Rey. Because the thing about the Force is like you can use it unconsciously. Like you know how like Anakin in the prequels could see things before they happen. Like he just had quicker reflexes. That is unconsciously using the Force. So, part 2 will be later. Okay, so
We'll finish up this point, and then we'll get going, and then we'll come back and finish part 2.
basically,
Wait,
yeah.
there's a gathering?
Yes,
Oh.
smart one. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So like, I'm gonna have a hard time editing that, but anyway, so like, what Anakin was doing was unconsciously using the Force, and I think that is what Rey was doing because when they like, she and Finn are going like, how did you do this? Like, oh my gosh, that was so amazing. She's kind of going, I don't know how I did that. So in that scene, like the whole like flying and like escaping the Falcon, she's unconsciously using the Force.
And she doesn't even know it.
Exactly. You can unconsciously use the Force without knowing it, but the thing is, this is something we'll elaborate on later, but you can sort of unconsciously use the Force or like figure out how to use the Force on your own. It can't happen that quick. It's not like, ooh, I have the Force, I can instantly do stuff. It's like, ooh, Force, let me figure out how to use it. And that's kind of like, that's sort of like the opening to Rey's abilities did good. It's like, oh, she's unconsciously using the Force. She has no clue what she's doing. And then we go to...
She's able to take on a guy who's been through lightsaber training and knows how to use the Force and actually kick his butt.
not only
I'm
that,
questioning if
she's
he
able-
actually had been for lightsaber training.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, like, not only is she able to somehow contend with him, she is able to consciously use the Force to pull Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber to her while Kylo Ren is pulling on it. Did you notice that? Like, during the lightsaber, you're like, Kylo's over here going, like, stretching out his hands towards the lightsaber.
Luke Skywalker has to have something to do with her.
Basically, yeah.
Some people say that Rey's actually the reincarnated version of Anakin, and I have to say, that doesn't seem likely. I think she's really more like the secret child of Luke Skywalker.
She's got to be of the Skywalker line, like, have the same Force potential as those two. But
Yeah,
she's
like the
not-
Skywalker family is something unique in the Star
Yeah.
Wars universe.
I mean, after all, that's the whole point of the story.